Hey, everybody. Welcome to Cybersplainers. Things look a little different today. This is Cybersplainers on location. I am not in the studio, obviously. Hopefully, the noise isn't too bad. We're trying to mitigate it as best we can with mics that are nice and close, and hopefully, the gain is keeping it sounding good. But anyway, I am here on a beautiful balcony at the Pearl Street Grill in downtown Buffalo, a place I've been many times, kind of my second city after Boston that I've spent the most time in probably. And I'm here because that's where my guest is, my friend who I'll introduce in a second, uh, to talk about what we'll talk about, which I'll introduce in a second. My question is, how many people do you know, and do you know them well? And what's the importance of those relationships, and what different kinds of relationships are there? And how does that relate and matter within cybersecurity? And that's what we agreed we wanted to talk about, because that's one of the unique things about our relationship. So I guess the question we're going to talk about is how important are relationships, or even better and more specifically, especially in the cybersecurity corporate world, what's the difference between partner and vendor, and does it matter?
We can talk.
All right. So as promised, I am here with my, I'll just say frenemy. We'll cut right to the chase. My frenemy, John Fulliter, John F. you later, who that's how it's spelled. Who I've known for many, many years, who works for an enterprise, large bank, financial institution type company here in Buffalo. And that's how we've met each other. And yet that's not why we always talk to each other.
No.
We've found that we just kind of enjoy chatting. And when I'm in town, we try to get together for a beer or something else, or a Jack.
Libation.
Some people don't drink beer, and I get it. But it's a funny relationship, I think, because we've always kind of had this weird. Well, I'll let you describe it in your words. But after you introduce yourself, tell everyone a little bit about who you are and why you care about this, why this matters, why this is what you want to talk about.
Sure. John Fulliter, financial institutions, more than one over the last 30 years, dancing around cybersecurity, did a bunch of firewall stuff, networking stuff, segmentation stuff. Just if it's there, I'm interested.
You're mostly focused on micro-segmentation
right
now.
It's
a really
segmentation.
Cool space to me. I
love
the idea.
Segmentation is really interesting. Trying to layer it on. You have host-based, and then you can get into process, and then you have to worry about agentless. How do you deal with that when you can't control the endpoint? And layer on layer on layer, and getting it close, because you never get done. Eric and I's relationship. I took a course from Eric, and promptly was multitasking and blowing him off, and he gave me grief, and I gave it back, and we both realized this guy can take it and this guy can give it, and it's escalated to do that. And the frenemies is a joke, because we're really friends, and most people think we're gonna fight each other or something.
We've made some people nervous before. We've been in the same conference room, and whoever comes in second, the other one's, oh my God, you didn't tell me he was going to be here.
I got to go. See you, bye.
And we've sold it well enough that some people have been made uncomfortable. So we kind of let them off the hook quickly and say, oh, no, we're good.
We're all good friends and things like that. So, Eric asked if I wanted to have a conversation, and it was always interesting, because we have this relationship born out of cybersecurity, born out of the need to know, talk, trust. And we've always asked the question, how do you know? How do you trust? How do you know you're not just selling me something?
Well, that's
our question.
That's the key. I think that's really okay. Over. We can finish it. We're done. No, it's
right.
It started as a vendor client, service provider client relationship, but we started joking, and I, as everyone probably understands, I don't like to take things too seriously. Serious when we need to be serious. It is serious business. It is very serious topics, but if we can have a little fun and be human, along the way and in the process, it just makes it so much more enjoyable, and you end up with great conversations, some of which seemingly maybe have nothing to do with cybersecurity, but sometimes it ties back in, or we just get to know each other, and it develops what you said, that word trust, where you know me personally well enough that I'm not going to turn around and screw you and sell you something.
It allows somebody like myself to ask questions that are open-ended and or I'm inviting real answers, not based on something that may be in your wheelhouse or in your sales portfolio, right? Because you're a very knowledgeable person in the space. And at the same time, I can bounce that stupid idea of, hey, I was thinking this, and let me know when the customer isn't right. And I'm not thinking it properly. Flip it around, do this, thought of that. Those things are important conversations. And again, to that point, you have to have people you can have those conversations with, and it's not going to be, oh, he's just trying to sell me something, or
You're not going to be defensive and
right,
questioning everything like, oh, what's the angle here?
yeah,
Because
right,
I'm more than happy to say, oh, yeah, I don't do that. We don't do that. We
right.
can't help you, but let me find someone who can. And I think that's been big part for me in my day job. It's the idea that we're not here to make a quick sale and screw somebody along the way. We're here to build relationships and build trust, and we'll be okay. We're going to make business. We're going to do business, but not everything has to be a transaction.
And it's very interesting in the thought process of that. When you have you and I have conversations, I expect it to be a partnership kind of conversation. I'm not saying, can you sell me something? Yes, I can ask that question. Yes, you'd be happy to sell me something. But what that also causes is the challenge when it's not you and me. When you go to have the conversation with somebody thinking it's a partnership and they're thinking you're a vendor, or
Yeah.
a added reseller, or I'm having a conversation with a vendor or an added reseller. I'm expecting you to automatically be a partner, and they're thinking it's a quick sale.
Right.
So,
Right.
so again, you have to realize what is and what isn't, what's your level of detail, and how you control your conversations, and and how do you work your way up, because it's like your friends. You have your bestest friend you grew
You'll
up
share
with,
anything with.
right? You know where the bodies are buried, right? And the person you met last week. Good guy, good lady, whatever, it's all fine. Not the same, right? So you got to
Yeah.
work your way in and understand that.
I think it's the nature of the relationship, and understanding it is key, and understanding their perspective and the way they see the relationship is important as well, because there might be someone who is a vendor who, wow, I saw this amazing product, I want to buy it. You figure out who to talk to, and they just want to sell it.
Right.
And they don't have time or desire to do anything more than sell you that product. And that's not bad, that's legit, but you want to understand that, okay, that's the relationship we're going to have. It's going to be transactional. And now also, I know you're going to try and charge me as much as you possibly can. And
Because
I'm
it's a
going to
one
try and
and
get it as
done.
cheap as I possibly
Yeah,
can
right.
versus no, there's more I might want from you. There's more you might want to sell me. There's more of a potential for a relationship here. So let's just be open and fair with each other.
Sure.
And over the long term, that becomes to me, a more interesting relationship, and just more pleasant. You're not just kind of.
Well, you're trying to get beyond the day one sale,
Yeah.
right? What about day two? What about day three? How are we getting beyond? What happens if I find something? Are you just a front end and I need to go to the vendor for everything? You just sold me the product, or are you going, you're my middleman, you're my contact. Have you seen this before? Can we talk about, why it isn't working, or a better way? And as I always tell people all the time, as long, I, I'm an engineer, but I'm a hack kind of guy. And I look at it and go, I could be wrong. And I wholeheartedly want somebody to tell me, I'm terribly sorry, you're wrong. The customer isn't always right. And if that's not a comfortable place to be, then you got to find a way to get that information, because otherwise you get led down a wrong path, and then you point fingers, and then it's not comfortable. It's not a great place to be at, because you're
Yeah.
both not winning.
And that's always, you've heard me say this before, from in a professional sense and in the day job. I would rather have relationships that are both ways, like you said, to that point, but where it's not transactional. It's not just we need to accomplish this little thing, but where we're in it for the long term.
Right.
We're here. If there's something I can't help you with, I'm going to tell you I can't help you with that. I will try and find someone who can, but I don't need to say yes to everything. The customer's always right, and the answer is always yes. That can be a disservice
Well,
if
when
I
it
say
doesn't when it
yes.
doesn't work, I'm not coming
Yeah,
for product two.
yeah.
I'm not coming for day
That's the
2.
thing,
Right?
and we're in it.
No.
You've always known we're in it for the long term,
Yeah.
and as long as there's that trust, we will continue to work together and find opportunities to work together, and not force them when they're not there, and not pretend to be something we're not, just to.
Well, in our relationship, what's worked out really well is you've gotten different companies. They've evolved, they've gotten bought out, they've gotten changed. Your role has changed. So everything is there, but you're Eric, right? We have that conversation. It's Eric and John. It's not company A and company B. It's all this. My role at the bank has always been changing, ever evolving. I'm one of those people that people tend to say, you can help over there. So you've been voluntold. Here's where you're going. And that's perfectly fine. But of course, last week's questions don't count. Have I got a new set for you? I'm doing this, or I thought of that. And that's, again, then you go back to your stable, you come back and say, hey, what do you know on this? And to your point, wholeheartedly, you don't know anything in that space, but you know a guy? Great.
Yeah.
Great. That's what we want to hear. Or, hey, I know a lot. Let's talk about it. Let's make it happen.
Pretending to be the guy that knows everything when you're not, because nobody does anymore. I don't know the guy that knows. I know a lot of people who know a lot of stuff,
Right.
but and maybe 30 years ago, you could know it all in networking. There was not a lot, but now you can't know it all. You either have to know a lot about a few things, or a little about a lot of things,
Right.
or
Jack of
some
all
mix of
trade,
that.
master of none.
Exactly.
Right.
And
And you're better served having a good relationship and say, I know somebody that can help.
Yeah.
Than you are say, I accept it.
Well,
You have a challenge. Let me run with it and see if I can find you your answer. I don't have that answer. I'm telling you I don't have that answer. You can call me in an hour and I'm not going to have that answer. But let me go dig for you and see if I can't help you. And if I can't, I'll be the first one to tell you it's not coming from me.
It's similar to back in school. I remember we had history class where they're teaching you facts from dozens or hundreds or thousands of years ago. And then there's another class where they teach you research projects, and they
Right.
say, here's a thing, go ahead and find out information about it. And that's so much more sustainable, and especially in tech, because stuff that you knew a year ago might not even matter anymore, or it's all been updated and replaced.
You blink and you're
So
done.
in technology, you need to constantly be able to learn and
Right.
relearn. And it's impossible for any individual to keep up with all of it. So whatever can make that a little bit easier, whether it's the research skills themselves and knowing how to find the answers yourself without humans, or the people you can lean on that might make that even quicker and easier because they work in that space, they specialize in it, they've seen some of the wins and losses within that technology or that product, and they give you an honest answer. But that comes back to, do you trust them? What's their angle?
Right.
And are they going to try and spin that answer in a way that suits them, or is
you
most
would
useful
expect
for
them
you?
to have some game into it, right? You'd expect something, but I mean, it's even the same thing now with AI, right? It's even harder to trust. What's the perspective? Well,
Where the information come from?
I've gotten a whole bunch of information. I've thrown it together for your question. Well, hang on, for my meaning or what I asked, right? So again, when I ask a question and you come back and go, well, you didn't mean that, right? You meant this. Oh yeah, that's what I meant. Never mind that other thing I asked for. You have to know who to go back to and who to trust. And right now, it's humans.
For now. Well, and even then, the humans might be getting their information from AI, so it's a little scary. And
Yeah, but you're the buffer between it. I'm hoping that you're kind of paying attention a little bit
we're
to
able
it.
to vet that,
Yeah.
and add a little color and flavor to it, that I think is the important part. Yeah, it's funny. Relationships with AI are going to be a whole different thing. I've even seen, I won't mention who, but prompting an AI, getting an answer, and kind of not sure the answer is right. So changing the prompt just a little bit, and then the AI admitting, oh, well, yes, almost making an excuse. That answer was based on this. With the new words you put in the question, I would change my answer to that. And it's like backtracking on its words.
Right.
But it's interesting that it's even using that context, as opposed to what we had 10, 20 years ago, just spit out a new answer,
right,
and forget that it already given you an answer that was close.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see it try to manage the conversation
Yeah, it's always a challenge, and again, it goes back to your vendor versus it, and you want partnerships, you want people to honestly be able to go get answers for you, and you want comfort level because do you remember when cyber it was everybody against the bad guys?
It isn't
Every
still.
uh, it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be, but ultimately you look at it and you go, are you sharing? You've been there. You remember when we went to conferences and you didn't talk to the person next to you? You didn't say what you were there for or why you were there. Oh, I can't
You're just
possibly
on
tell
guard,
you.
100%. Yeah,
100% is, oh, no, no, no. My secrets are mine.
yeah.
It's like, aren't we both fighting the same entity? And
Yeah.
aren't we supposed to, make this better?
Collaboration and sharing,
It,
being in it together.
and nowadays, at least that's better. You might not find your best friend at the conference, but you're definitely at least having conversations
Well,
and
10 years ago, I might not
sharing.
have been able to get a guest to open up about anything
Oh no,
cybersecurity related.
oh
To your
no.
point, this type of discussion, even some of the more technical ones we've had, somebody's sharing something that has been a challenge or is still a challenge, rather than saying, "Oh no, I've got everything under control." You're
Well,
not going to.
I went to a conference that was a specific product line. And I asked a person across the table from me, I said, so you use this? How long have you used it? I'm new to the space. Who said we use it?
You're here.
Well, okay, this isn't the place to investigate. This is the one to find answers,
This is a
right?
user conference,
Yeah, it's a
which
user
implies you're
conference.
using the product.
But again, it was oh no, not us. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, come on, please.
Yeah.
Please.
And I do understand that, and we've seen this in all kinds of places with doing, co-marketing or advertising, case studies,
Sure.
using a company's name in your marketing. The old school, no, we don't want to do that because we're admitting what we're using. The bad guys are going to be able to figure that out pretty quickly, usually anyway.
Right.
The products you have in place, they're fairly
They
identifiable
answer.
in many, many cases. but I always remember thinking in some cases it's almost a good thing. Like, yeah, tell them what you have. They might not bother because, oh, yeah, that's a good product. That's
Right.
going to be a harder one to
Right.
crack. We'll go after some lower hanging fruit. But we don't see as much skittishness now anyway. We see some, and in fact, our company has some partnerships with some customers that's part of the deal. Let's tout it together. I do think sometimes one of the bigger fears, though, is by bragging about your security, you're kind of painting a target on yourself. So you have to say
remember
it
the web
carefully.
security? It's probably what you're thinking about. Remember the web security? Probably about 8 years ago, certified web security, and you were telling them that you were not hackable.
Yeah.
And it was like, really, really, you want? I mean, it reminds me of the one guy on, was it LifeLock or whatever? Here's my social security number. Never been hacked. You find out he was his identity was stolen like 18 times
He
or
was
something.
customer zero.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. He was always customer zero, and they always got him. And he's
Yeah.
like, okay, fine. You great. You got a new social security number every 3 years. Congratulations.
Well, so a lot of that just comes back to openness and being truthful and honest with your vendors, with your suppliers, with your partners, and not all of them are going to have that bandwidth to have a relationship
And
with you, and
understand what
you're
you
not going to
want.
be friends with all of
Yeah.
them. I don't like that many people. I'm not going to have friends
Well,
everywhere.
you still answer my call, so I'm okay with that.
But it's also a matter of just being cordial.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't have to be friends. You don't have to
No.
want to hang out in your spare time, but be cordial, be kind, be thoughtful. And a lot of that is just having that empathy and perspective of, I know what they need. I know where they're calling me. I need something else, something different. I know they may not be compatible, but let's not just fight and scream and just try and beat you over the head with what I need. Let's just understand and say, hey, yeah, we're not going to be able to make this work. But it's not you and I, it's our companies.
Right.
It's our organizations that aren't going to connect.
Well,
we don't have to be enemies.
No, at the same time, well, yes, we do.
Well, for different reasons.
For us. But at the same time that we
nice quiet venue.
Of course.
And that's not a motorcycle, folks. That's a car with
a car rattling.
an exhaust problem.
And again, set your example what you need. Be clear, like you say, and then both of you can both come in and say, here's my expectations, here's how do I get there. And if it goes beyond that, great. At bare minimum, obviously if you're not both working toward the same goal, you're not winning anyways, right?
Yeah, and
So
that's it.
hi, this is what the problem I'm trying to solve. You can either help me solve it or you can't. Beyond how we're going to handle that is the secondary part. But
Yeah.
if I'm looking for blue and you're only selling red, we're not getting there.
Well, that's part of what I enjoy about my role and my ability in that job, and what I'm doing here now is I have the bandwidth to just be able to be helpful,
Right.
whether it leads to direct business or not, whether there's a dollar sign on it. The idea is let's help however we can. Sometimes that's just having a conversation about something, thinking something through, whether there's an answer or not, or whether it means introducing you to somebody else who can help you more directly than I can or than we can. That's the relationship, and the business will be there. I'm not going to starve. We're
No.
going to do okay,
Yep.
and the organization will get through, and I can feel better about it. I sleep better at night. I'm not looking to rook people. We're as a company trying to just be helpful in the ways that we can be helpful, and not fake anything, I guess.
Well, you also represent your company well in that space, right?
Well, I like to think the
You're
company is of the
comfortable.
same mind, and it's
Yeah.
not just me
No,
pretending
but
it.
in the same sense too, it's not like you're pulling a fast one, being you, right? It's not a misalignment
But
that
being
you're going.
genuine, that's a part of it, I
You're
suppose.
genuine to yourself, but all that falls in line with where you're in a company that you're comfortable with, you're aligned with, and like you said, if it ends up a sale, maybe today, maybe not today, but that continued relationship, we're gonna interact somewhere down the road.
Yeah.
And that's important.
And
Right?
I guess one of the other challenges, though, is it's easier and I wasn't always this way, but I can see the good in things. Like I'm an optimist. I'm a realist. I know there's a lot of crap out there that's not good, but I try to see the upside of things and look at the positive. And like when I travel and I have to be somewhere for work and I'm away from my family, I make the most of it. And I try and hang out and visit with other folks and be social. And I wasn't always social, but I've found that there's a lot to enjoy out of just chatting with folks, and
Sure.
that's what Cybersplainers is about. It lets me do
Right.
that with some meaning and hopefully some education and sharing some information and making people think a little differently. But that comes from having those relationships and being able to talk about stuff without putting priorities on certain agendas
Well, it's time well spent too. You get out and you say that was a good trip. If your good trip is sitting in your hotel room because you're not in the office 24/7, then okay. But for somebody like yourself, whom I've known and had the pleasure of knowing, it's talking to people, getting out, having that next conversation, meeting somebody new or meeting a new place that you can bring up and say, I went to this really great restaurant, or I went to this little dive, but they had the best, whatever, or something.
I would explore places in Buffalo, but I just keep coming back to Pearl Street Grill because
There you
it's just
go.
here. It's easy.
There's
Well,
nothing wrong
we've
with
done
that.
events here over the years. We've been here many, and their pizza, the Pearl Street, their house pizza.
Their food's good.
That's what I had
Their
for lunch.
libations are fine.
People that had never been here asked me, and I said, "Get the Pearl," and they loved it. Guy on the other side of them ordered it too. It's the thing. It's also the only place I think I've ever had deep fried bacon.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
welcome to Buffalo.
Yeah, we're all over the place as I expected we would be with our conversations. We talk about all kinds of stuff. We talk about other people we know that we've known. And again, if you can be cordial and friendly and honest and genuine with people without putting the agenda first, let the agenda fall into place, let work take place, let it happen, and it'll just be more pleasant. And sometimes it goes nowhere. There are people I know professionally that I never do or will do business with, but they're still respectful relationships. I know what they do, and I know what they're good at, and maybe someday I have a use for them.
Yeah,
or they have a use for me.
It's the just the opposite, where you turn around and somebody and you go, oh, I have to introduce you to somebody over here because we're like market, we're like minded, we're like attitudes, things of like, hey, let's get together and do, because we're all wacky in the same way, right? So
let me bring out one other little aspect of this that I hadn't even thought of until just now. But a lot of folks that are very technical minded aren't very social.
Yeah.
You get the stereotypical engineer, which I probably was at some point way back in my years, that doesn't like to or isn't good at, and that those often go together, interact with other people socially, especially younger generations that grew up on their phones and texting when they're face-to-face analog like we get to be, which is one of the reasons I like having this conversation not on Zoom or
Sure.
on online. Um, they struggle with relationships anyway. And I've worked with a couple of them that I try, just do it. You got to do it more to get out of the comfort zone and force it, meet people, try and be social. It might be awkward, but it's better than just never being social. And you're not going to develop those same relationships online.
Right. And like any exposure, right? Your online exposure or in the comfort of your home, you're not going to find all of those different people, right?
Yeah.
Um, like you said, you work with people, you work in organizations, and you go, I'll never see them outside. Oh, there's an event.
There's a
Oh
certain
my God,
safety
they
in that.
showed up. There's okay. It's okay. Some people are comfortable that way. Many are not comfortable that way, and you got to find your niche. But if you're looking for something more, you got to stretch your boundaries.
Yeah.
That's not a
But I would
comfortable
also
thing.
say to those who are comfortable with it, and there are some very good marketing people who know this, and they just do it naturally. They've got the charisma for it. When they see someone who's kind of a wallflower, and at an event, they came to the event, good for them, they got out of the house, but they're not interacting. Don't just expect them to, but also don't ignore them.
Right.
Try and figure out, what can I do to make them feel comfortable and enjoy themselves and get something out of this event that they went out of their way to come to.
So I just learned something, and a different avenue in my life and everything else like that is when you know somebody has to do it all, like become an extrovert when you're an introvert, and you going, okay, fine. The person that has that expectation will fail every time. What you ultimately have to do is to say, no, but I can inch you that way. Hey, have you met this person? Why don't you have this conversation? Get them off the wall and into the middle of the floor a little further, and then work it through and work it through. Because if you try to boil the ocean, you're going to fail all the time.
Yep.
Right? You have to work at it like any major task, move the needle, just keep going. Same with people, right? The moment you say, and it's you, spotlight's on you, that person's gone.
They panic, freak out.
And they will never, and worse yet, they won't trust you again because you just got them, right?
Again, it's that empathy perspective. Where are they coming from? Why are they the way they are? Don't expect changes. I'll going back to coaching children. If you ever coach little children in the sport, I was doing this when my kids were little, and I started doing it, and I just did it naturally. And one of the parents pulled me aside and said, I love how you do that thing. And it was simply when you talk to them, squat down, get on their level, be an eye to eye. Especially young kids, where you're supposed to be trying to help them have fun. Your job as a coach of young kids in sports, keep them safe,
sure,
and help them have fun, and like what they're doing, not dreading coming to t-ball or whatever the sport is. Make them enjoy it, and then if they enjoy it, you'll find some of them will be good at it, have a tendency towards it, and then they can play it more successfully later. But at that early age, don't be barking at them from 4 feet over them as an authority figure.
Drill sergeant won't
work. A 5-6-year-old kid doesn't need that. They've got parents barking at them already. Be their friend, be an authority figure, and be responsible, and show them by example, but relate to them. And I think there's a certain corollary to that in business, where don't play the, oh, I'm this person, you're that person. I'm going to bark at you and tell you how you should do things. Have a little, again, I'm going to come back to those words, empathy, sympathy, the idea, perspective. Just understand their challenge and show that you understand their challenge, and that you're in it with them. And that goes back to the word partnership versus vendor or supplier or whatever.
Right.
A partner is going to be in it with you. And revel in your success and wallow in your failure along with you, and take some responsibility for it if they have, not always belonging, but ultimately feel it with you and understand. No, we want to be successful in what we're trying to do together.
Imagine how much better and wonderful this will be if we are together when this goes well.
The other one that comes back to me from early in my career is doing tech support. That I just had naturally done this. Again, I didn't think of myself as a social person at all, but somebody said you're doing that really well. And it's when somebody calls you and you're on tech support, the worst job in the world in any category. They're just horrible jobs because people only call to complain.
They're not calling to say how great things are.
I've said for years, if you want to throw somebody for a loop, call a tech support line and say, hey, just want to let you know everything's great. Product's running wonderfully. Thank you for making such great stuff. They'll freak out and say,
Well,
wow.
I don't think there's a category for that in
But they get to
their
close the call
charts.
in 30
Yes.
seconds, resolved call. It does the numbers well.
Yeah.
But it's a miserable job.
Right.
But one of the things that they end up being trained to do nowadays is match the tone and the tempo and the pace of the caller. If somebody calls and they're exhausted and they're talking like they're defeated, whatever the problem is, match their tone a little bit so they feel like you understand them versus being all hyper and hectic. And same thing with the way around. They call in a panic and they're talking a mile a minute. Don't be the sloth on the phone.
The DMV sloth.
Kind of match the level because and that's a deliberate.
Yeah.
For some people, it's natural. For some people, it's you got to force it, and it's not manipulative. It's just showing that we're in this together. I'm here to help you, and I feel you. I understand what's going on, and I'm gonna work with you.
It's back to your empathy type of thing. You're matching it. You're trying not to. I'm not trying to one up you. I'm not trying to snap at you, even if it's your problem. I mean, there's a great cartoon, the help desk. Yes, of course I have it plugged in. It's not working. This is the stupidest thing. I can't stand you. You don't know anything. Hangs up the phone, and then he goes to look, and it was a computer problem, and the computer wasn't plugged in. And you're like going, oops. They weren't wrong.
My bad.
They weren't wrong, but they at the same time you sit there and go, just figure it out.
Well, and in a better relationship, you go and say, hey, you know what? I noticed it wasn't plugged in. I'm sorry. And that apology to that person, it's an admission of defeat. And people won't do it because they're admitting failure or weakness to that person who was right all along. But by doing so, what that has done for that relationship is amazing because now the person knows you're honest with them. They know it was a moment of weakness and you revealed it to them and they say, oh, great, thank you. I'm glad it's working for you.
Yeah.
As opposed to saying, I told you so.
Yeah.
Hey, well, I'm glad it worked. That's great. Next time, call me again.
Right.
And I'm not going to dread it when you call. And
or
I'll help you
my favorite one that I like to do is automatically tell them I assume it's an operator error. Just let me know. Just let me know how I can get this right. I'm sure it's me. And whether it's me or it's not me, it takes the pressure off of that
a little self-deprecation can go a long way.
Yeah.
It could be me. I could be being stupid here. I could have just missed. And it's not about being stupid. It could be, you know what? And we've done this. I've done this for years in this industry, in the tech industry. I've been working on a problem for 3 days, and I'm just not finding a solution. You bring in a colleague or a friend or somebody else who has a fresh set of eyes.
Yeah.
And it's not that, and you've done the same for them. So it's not like one's smarter or better than the other. It's just I've got tunnel vision now, and I'm so stuck in this. And they come in and they start asking stupid questions from the beginning, making no assumptions. And then you realize 3 questions in, it's like, oh, yeah, no, I didn't check that yesterday.
Well, it's early on in one of your classes when the labs, I mean, that's how I've always been. The labs if the labs go well, I'm not learning. Make them go wrong. And you don't have to make them go wrong. I help. I jump in with both feet. And it's so easy to mistype something and then come back and say the same thing. Oh, of course it doesn't work because.
Well, you've probably heard me say it in a class. I'll say when labs aren't going smoothly or somebody's having a problem or everyone's having the same problem, that's probably a problem in the setup of the lab or the environment or something. But I've said it multiple times. When the labs don't go perfectly smoothly, you're going to learn more because I'm going to help you. We're going to troubleshoot. Maybe you fat-fingered something 5 pages ago. We'll ultimately figure out what it was and learn from it. And we learn from the troubleshooting process that I'm going to guide you through in figuring out how to find what went wrong. And you get bonus content when that happens.
No, and that's like anything, right? Again, if I'm right all the time, then we can't learn, right? Because you're just going to point out what was wrong.
Yeah.
You're not going to instruct, right? It's that relationship again, of coming back and going, so let's walk through some logic here. How could you got there on your own? Because the next time you won't be sitting in a class. You're under fire. Somebody's beating you up.
Down.
Yeah, somebody's beating you up because the XYZ isn't working. And by the way, it was supposed to be live, or put out its output, whatever it's supposed to do, and you're under the gun. And again, it's how you work with people and how you understand, and it comes back to it.
Yeah, I tell
people
students,
just be people.
I tell students, ask me questions. I'll either give you an answer, I'll defer because the answer's coming up, and a little bit later in the class we're going to have more content. Or my favorite answer to give you is I don't know.
Let's figure it out.
I'm more than willing to admit I don't know. I get excited about that because I'm going to get to learn along with you. We're going to find an answer. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to use resources I have. I might give a best guess as I think about that. I've never come across that, but based on this, and this, I think this is probably the case, but let me confirm.
Right.
And I'm going to get to learn something that way. So I enjoy that.
Okay.
And there are some people who have to get over that admitting you don't know everything kind of thing. And I love it. I had a student come back to me not that long ago and say, I appreciated that because then I also knew when you did give me an answer, you weren't pulling it out of your butt.
Right.
Like you knew the answer
Right.
because you're willing to admit when you don't know the answer, that means the answers you do give, you're pretty confident
It's
with.
collaborative.
And yeah,
you
it
know,
is.
that's
Because I'd rather say no than give somebody the wrong answer too.
Yeah.
And I'd rather explore things like this through conversation with other
Absolutely.
people. I don't have all the answers. I want to find them. And we even said that in our intro when we first started Cybersplainers. We don't know all the answers. We want to learn
It's
just
a conversation, chat it out.
Yeah.
I think we got this.
I think we've wandered way off topic as I expect we would anyway.
I think it's what it is.
We
you
covered
can
a lot.
Cut this up a million ways and come out with some sort of show. Maybe.
I think we got a solid 5 minutes.
Maybe.
Solid 5 minutes, John. But we should wrap it up. My batteries are probably going to die. I want to appreciate everyone for putting up with our tech and our noise. Hopefully it wasn't too distracting, too bad, like the car that's whizzing past me right now. Adds a little depth, maybe a little color. I'm going to finish my beer. You're going to finish your Jack and Coke.
Yeah.
And we'll keep talking, but we're going to stop the cameras. And I'm going to thank you again for being here.
No, thank you for
having me. Thanks so much
me.
for coming by.
Always a blast to chat with you.
And sharing this, you jerk.
You idiot.
I can't wait to finish this and get away from you.
Look at the time. Gotta go.
We'll have you on again sometime. Never. Actually, we are on another podcast coming up. I don't know if it'll drop before this one or not, or after it, where we talked with my friend Sia, who I brought you in as a friend for that one, where we talk about cybersecurity in movies.
Yeah.
And that's a fun one. So Sia.
If that works out well, hopefully I get to do that again because
she's going to be on Cybersplainers coming up soon too.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that concept of Hollywood's take on cybersecurity, what they get right, what they get wrong.
It's real life, and it's
because that's her series. She focuses on one movie or series for an episode, and it's
and the world just got loud.
It did. Another train. So anyway, we got to wrap it up. But thanks so much. I enjoyed it.
I did too.
And we'll continue this. Maybe we'll do an update on our relationship 10 years down the road when we're still doing Cybersplainers and we're
not talking with each other anymore. Yeah. Okay.
We'll go back and look at this and pull selective clips out of it. Anyway, well, again, thanks. And thank you to everyone at Cybersplainers. I think I like to come back to the question really quickly. I forgot to do this. Is there a difference between partnership and supplier and vendor?
Absolutely.
And I think that's what we tried to talk about. A partnership, I think, is a much more valuable thing.
Yeah.
And yet the word, I think, gets thrown around a lot, especially with vendors that work together. They have integrations. They refer to each other as partners. They're not really, they're technology partners. Sometimes those are very deep partnerships, and their developing teams work together to make sure they're working well together. But that's different. We're talking about the people, and even at those companies, some of those people, I'm sure, have very functional relationships, and some don't. They're purely transactional in business. But I guess the recommendation for anyone who doesn't know the difference, think about your relationships. Think about what's working, what isn't, the ones that are good, the ones that are bad. Why?
What do you want out of it?
What can you do to maybe make them better? Or maybe it works for you. Sometimes having an adversarial relationship works.
Yeah.
And you kind of get the best out of people by being demanding and being a jerk.
Sometimes
that works for some people. Yeah. I just can't do it that way. I'd rather
not in my nature.
Not be, and that's why I think we get along.
Right.
If you got one who's a jerk and adversarial and one who's passive and not, that's generally not a good situation.
Am I the jerk or you the jerk?
I'm saying neither one of us. Well,
thank God. It's the other guy. It's never me.
All right. Well, so relationships, there's all different types. Figure out what works for you. But when you can be nice, be a good person. And what I tell new parents, just raise your kid to not be an asshole.
There you go.
Don't be an asshole. If